press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired.
That's Joe Biden. I'm sure you've seen that before. That's an old video. That's Joe Biden bragging on camera about what's that term? Quid pro quo. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Joining me now, my friend Brian Dean Wright of the outstanding President's Daily Brief podcast, which you should subscribe to every single day. 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes. All right, Brian, I only bring up this old video because of a news story that's floating around, and I don't want to connect dots that are not connectable. So I'm just going to lay it out there. I'm sure you've seen it. Virgin Islands has some attorney general that's apparently going after J.P. Morgan Chase because she did a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein, and she claims, this is what she says, that J.P. Morgan Chase knew about all the ugly stuff Epstein was into. She decided to go after them. Joe Biden takes a vacation in the Virgin Islands, and she gets fired. I don't want to connect dots that are not connectable. I genuinely do not for anybody. Are they connectable?
Well, we have some coincidences here, don't we, my friend? Look, I think most of us are looking at this man and this administration, and we have legitimate concerns. I mean, we have a laptop, of course, by his son that suggests all kinds of foreign malfeasance of him and his family getting involved with bad characters to make cash or to make things go away, problems go away. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think, hey, isn't it strange that Joe Biden goes to a place and then the prosecutor gets tossed out? So I think your concerns are pretty darn fair.
Okay. We talked about the CIA in the open of this. Now, as people may know, I didn't bring it up in the beginning. Brian is a former CIA ops guy, so he knows his way around
Don't judge
CIA.
me. Don't judge me. Yeah.
We're uncovering from Twitter a bit here that the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, actually got involved with Twitter in covering for Hunter Biden. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems so far outside of the CIA's purview that I have no idea how that can be justified. But again, I don't want to speak out of turn. What says the CIA guy?
Look, so what we know from these releases of documents, internal documents, emails and such from Twitter is that clearly the FBI, the NSA, and the CIA were all having different entities inside of their own organizations reaching out to Twitter saying, hey, look, you need to ban this kind of an account specifically or generally, or this story or this book that might be coming out talking about Hunter Biden or the Biden family. Right? That is very unusual. The other interesting thing here about some of these requests that are coming in from the intelligence community to Twitter is that they will say, we assess that, and then they go on and say whatever the thing is they're claiming. But what they don't say is what degree of confidence they have in that assessment. In other words, it could be just a rumor that they have low confidence in that assessment or actually very high confidence, lots of different kinds of intelligence. So what I saw in reading these documents was a lot of shenanigans by the intelligence community using very carefully selected words such that it created this impression at Twitter that, yes, the CIA and the NSA and FBI must know these things absolutely and resolutely. Unless you work in the intelligence community and you know these little tricks of words that they use, you wouldn't know it. So it creates this impression on Twitter employees that they really are up against something very profound when in fact they weren't.
Brian, how much bias are we dealing with here? Because you have to forgive me if I look at all these things from NSA, CIA, FBI, all these things, they all seem to go one direction. I can't seem to find any instances of this helping a Republican. For some reason, it always seems to help out the Democrats. And if we have an intelligence agency now completely dedicated to helping Democrats, well, that's kind of a big problem, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a massive problem. Look, I think that what we have seen over the past 5 years, not just in some sort of general conspiracy-laden way, but actually through people like James Comey, who was leaking to the New York Times to target former President Donald Trump, we have seen it consistently from the highest levels of the FBI, the CIA, of course. We have an NSA and former CIA director, John Brennan, James Clapper very clearly choosing the Democrats and over Republicans and weaponizing their jobs and their backgrounds to try to destroy a party or the former president, that is Trump. So it's very clear that we have a politicized intelligence community, and it's a huge problem and issue. Unfortunately, we need somebody else on the White House and a different kind of Congress, that is to say House and Senate, who's going to take this stuff on. Because otherwise, I'm not seeing how it changes. We need different political leadership to fix this.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.